Globespan is a Guyanese dialogue moving towards the realization of one nation in one Guyana. It's a platform that offers an all-inclusive discussion with the pros, the cons, the ones that have taken a side, and the ones that stand in the middle. Globespan believes agreeing and disagreeing are part of the nation building. Globespan believes that every Guyanese voice is part of the nation building. As we span the globe for voices from the diaspora and those living home, we stand on our commitment that we are all Guyanese working towards one nation in one Guyana. This land is our land now. As the world turns on its axis, bringing changes, we as Guyanese must adapt to those changes for a better Guyana for all. Globespan stands on its axis with its belief that one nation, one Guyana, one destiny must include voices from all corners of Guyana.
Welcome to Globespan Television. We are broadcasting live from New York City. Our guest tonight is Worship Mayor Alfred Mentor from Georgetown. But before I get to him, I want all our listeners to know that this program has been made available by Mr. Noir Singh and our two technical directors, Mr. Ryan Gobin and Mr. Devin Bissoon. And also, we are a fair and balanced network. We do not discriminate against anyone. We invite any and everyone. All the political parties could send their members here, and we'll have a discussion with them for sure. So we do not discriminate. We are fair and balanced. Despite whatever anyone else says, we invite everyone to come on the program. The views expressed tonight by Mr. Mentor are solely his and not necessarily the staff nor management of Globespan Television. And tonight's topic is a very big one, the catastrophic defeat of the PNC and the cleaning up of Georgetown, which should be important to all our listeners in Guyana and in the diaspora. So, Mr. Mentor, let me introduce you. Good night. You're no stranger to this program. I think you came here a couple of times. Good night to you, sir.
Good night to you and your viewers. And I'm happy to be part of your Globespan for this week and to be able to add as much as I possibly can towards the overall political landscape in Guyana and the understanding of where we at as a city of Georgetown.
Okay. Mr. Mentor, Mayor Mentor, how long now you've been the mayor?
Let me see, just over 2 years. June 2023 is when I was mayor-elect, just after the elections. I think the elections were held around July, and then I think I was sworn in by the president, where he would have done so, I think, around August. So I just over 2 years.
Okay. Can you tell our listeners what's the term for a mayor? Is it 2 years? Is it 4 years? Is it 1 year?
Hold a bit. Let me just fix this thing. The term for the mayor, like I said, it's a funny thing. You have a yearly arrangement that you're supposed to be elected every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have it's a 3-year term for councillors and everyone. They haven't had any. I think the government of Guyana would have looked at that scenario. I think, and it was also based on something that the previous Minister of Local Government was looking at, to not necessarily have mayors elected every year. If you're elected, you're elected. And if there's an issue where people are not happy with you, they would treat with that thing. But they haven't made these amendments at the level of the legislative level to make that adjustment. So, but I guess that is something on the cards. It was something on the cards by the previous Minister of Local Government, Mr. Bolkan, and I guess the previous minister then, which is Ms. Parag, looked at it, and it's a matter to be iron out in this next legislative agenda in Parliament.
Is there a term limit for mayors? You know, the president, he can only serve 2 terms of, which is 2 5-year
Yes,
terms for 10 years.
I think in our case, you can serve five, allow you serve 5 consecutive terms, then you can't serve the 6. Originally, it was open and vague and opaque. And I think it was eventually adjusted in some reforms that they had, making amendments to the laws. So they cover that aspect of it to allow mayors that have at least consecutive terms. If you serve 5 consecutive terms, then you can't run back for the 6. But let's say there's a break in that. Let's say you serve 3, 4, whatever, and then there's a break. Then there'll be a situation where you could continue on again for 5 consecutive things. It's a funny bit of things. As long as you've served 4.5, 5 consecutive terms, then you're ineligible to become mayor the next term.
Okay. You have been the mayor. Is it true that the government is trying to bring back parking meters to the city?
I know I would assume, like I said, this should have been something that if it was properly supported when the PVP government was out of power, if it was properly treated with and even handled by the government that was in power at the time, maybe we would have been able to have parking meter already. But I know the current government is having is treating with the matter. The matter is before the court in Hague, I think is the whatever court you call that, where all those fancy arbitration appeals has happened, and they're dealing with that matter as it relates to a challenge that they've had from the people who had the parking meter contractual arrangements, and then it was subsequently challenged, and a whole host of different things happened. Where I don't remember the exact word; it's not coming to me at this time. Where they were frustrated, then, so to speak, and the government had to take measures in place to treat with it, and that's why it's at the court in arbitration to be able to find some kind of financial solution in relation to the kind of cost or the cash outlay that the parking meter people put in place, and for them to be able to get back some returns. So that is what I believe where it's at this time, but I'm not sure about any other aspect of it where they're talking about returning it. And if that should happen, it obviously has to pass our smell test as a council. It would obviously have to come before the council in order for us to be able to look at it in a new way and in a new fashion and new form. I truly believe there's need for parking management and in the city itself. I believe strongly that, even traveling around the city currently as we speak, it'd be like a nightmare to even get parking or being able to access different places. Because what has been happening over the years is that many persons that frequent the city, likewise, persons who work in the city are have their own vehicles, park all over the place for many, many hours, and it doesn't allow or afford many other persons to be able to have an opportunity to park in and around the city. And many of those persons come from out of the city themselves. Many of the people who work in the city are not necessarily residents of the city. They come from over on the West Coast, on the East Coast, either on the East Bank, and they use up space in the city, and we haven't been benefiting from that in any particular way. So there must be some measure that we could be able to put in place to allow for parking management in the city, and so that we could be able to have a balance and to have a spin-off or a workable solution moving forward.
So you haven't heard anything about it. So this means that it's not been discussed
No, it hasn't reached my desk. It hasn't reached the council's desk. It hasn't reached the town clerk's desk. What I know for sure is that it's before the the people in Hague and whatever court that is. But the matters being addressed at that level for some kind of a solution as it relates to what happened with the previous arrangement. And it's obvious that until that previous arrangement is comes to an end or is settled or both sides have a win-win scenario or one person's ruled against or over the other, until that is finalized, only then you could actually look at a new arrangement in relation to parking meter.
Okay. What's the makeup of the city council? How many PNC members are there? How many PP members and so forth? What's the makeup?
The current, well, it's like I said, it's a 30-seat council.
Right.
We have 19 seats and the PPP has the other 11.
Okay.
What has happened with us is that one of our members would have met into an accident and he was, went to the grade beyond. So we're at 18 to 11. We have not a slim majority, but a significant one.
So why is it that that person is not being replaced?
I believe how that works. It's not like we haven't moved to have them replaced, but you have to have a by-election in order for that person to be replaced because the person was drawn from the constituency. It wasn't a person that was selected from the PR or the proportional representation. So that person was drawn from there's a constituency side and there's a proportional representation side. And in order for that to happen, GCOM has to put in place a system to have a by-election. And that by-election will have other players and other people take, some kind of a voting arrangement. I've never seen it done, even when you had other persons who are constituency councillors that would have passed. I've had experiences where I've been in the council since 2016, and they have had persons who passed who were constituency councillors, and they haven't had any by-elections. And that didn't happen not only um, from a APNU side, it also happened on the other side as well. If I'm corrected, if I'm correct. So, and they've had no by-elections called. So it's something that we asked about, but it hasn't been addressed by GCOM.
Okay. Mayor, Mayor, I want to ask you this question. This concerning stop signs and one-way streets and so forth. There are times when folks in Guyana, politicians and others, make comparison to the United States when they see that is okay for them to do so. But if it's not okay, they will not make a comparison or they will not. But most of these politicians have traveled in the United States. And at every stop sign, there's a four-way stop sign. That the person going in one street and coming down the street, both people will have to stop. But in Georgetown, and I know Georgetown very, very well, if I'm driving in Georgetown, I don't know who has to stop. There are no stop signs there. So I always have to stop, and cars then will pop the horns for me to go through because they know that I got it the right away, but I don't know this. So why is it that there are not stop signs, more stop signs in Georgetown, almost at all the streets? And why is it they're not four-way stop signs? If you're going east to west, it's stop sign there. North to south, stop sign there.
Like I said, it's a great point. While we are responsible for naming of streets and at the level of the council and dealing with those kind of matters, we also have a consultative approach in dealing with these matters with the national police and the overall national traffic. So in the question that you've posed, it's the one that has to have a joint collaboration between us and the national police so that we could be able to iron out this particular point that you're talking about of having stop signs that maybe all the various cars, so everybody should maybe stop rather than and those are you're talking about those inner streets. So I understand like a little bit of Queenstown, a little bit of Albertown, a little bit of
Right,
Newtown,
right,
and
right.
these areas. I see it for me, I take the extra precaution, but and I've been looking and observing this trend. And because what is really happening is that you have in these little small streets, you have somebody think they obviously have the right of way, so they keep going. They have the two stop signs on the other side. But I think the time may be come for us to let everybody stop. Just like you said, at the four corners, have everybody stop. And then to see that the traffic after there's nothing happening there, then you continue to flow. What I have noticed is that the the central government, well, in this case, along with the police, have created or put a lot of those major speed bumps at those junctions to allow people to slow down to at least come to a stop. So at least that is a measure they've put in place to treat with that. But again, more must be done about it, and I surely will take it up with the traffic chief and the other people within the city's locale to be able to deal with those matters and see how we could actually save more lives and limbs.
Thank you. Now, I don't want to get more involved in the city and its infrastructure, but let me turn to politics. Region 4. The PNC or APNU has always carried Region 4 and Region 10. That was actually guaranteed. But in this last election, the PNC took a shellacking in Region 4. It was my understanding most of the youths did not even go out and vote. And is this because of what? Why? Was there any massive campaign in Region 4 in Georgetown by the party? I was made to understand by Wynn had a major campaign there, the PP had major campaigns, but I'm not sure that PNC had major campaigns in Georgetown. Is that true?
No, we had that's not true. I am very much part of the Georgetown district as the I'm vice chairman of that district with the chairman being Mr. Garraway. And from the party perspective, and we have had significant meetings. They have had big mini rallies and other massive public meetings, as well as the smaller little meetings at street corners and as well as you call them whistle stops where people drive around and campaign. What has maybe, and I mean, you said Region 4. Region 4 is Georgetown, which have a North
Yeah, but I'm
Georgetown
talking about
side.
Georgetown of itself.
Right, and they have the East Bank on the East Coast. But
Right.
in relation to Georgetown itself, we did some significant campaigns in those different areas, in those different smaller areas and streets. But has happened, and I must say, in these elections itself, is that money played a significant part, and both the PPP as well as the Win team were more financially endowed than us, and that played a significant part in incentivizing persons, not necessarily from paying them cash, but also dealing with them in a bit a number of things. It had things like hampers and some other things that they could have done, and they could willingly put in place. They were able to flag more than us, and so on and so forth, because we had to use our monies and our resources skillfully to be able to stretch it through the various 10 regions of the country. So while there was significant focus in the city as well as the region 4, they had to spend monies in different other regions to be able to spend the little bit that we had. And so I would think that come any other election, whether it may be a local one, maybe it may be a national one, um, significant thought has to be put in place as to how we will address those issues, how you could have people with enterprise part of the process, and also be able to look that part and to be able to treat with the the populace as to how we'd be able to work with them and understand this particular need. So there are a number of things in relation to that we have to look at. And I'm also saying that what also played a significant role is the issue of not having that coalition that obviously we wanted. And I believe that that was very critical. Um, and I believe, and from talking to a number of persons in these different outreaches that we're having currently, many of the things they said they stayed home. Many of them didn't go out and vote, and some of them also was influenced to vote for Win. But the fact of the matter was that the coalition itself between the APNU AFC, people were treated us a little differently. They were disenchanted and obviously disoriented because they believe that the APNU AFC as a coalition would have stand the chance to be able to pull it off. But again, the persons involved in trying to make that happen obviously it didn't work out. And obviously the people themselves know that, well, if is it you want me vote, and I'm saying to you that I want you to do this to be able to get my vote, and you can't do it, well then you really didn't want me vote, so I can stay home. So a lot of those persons stayed in and stayed away from the system. I managed about 30 um, polling, I got it, polling stations, and in my area, I had to manage, which is constituency 4. So I had to get 30 SOPs at the end of my thing, which is at the various schools and the various locations. And I remember, from different times as a assistant polling, what do you want to call me, some fancy agent name. I would go to relieve different agents that we have and would also check their lists, to see who vote, who didn't vote, people that why they didn't come out, and also to try to get those people to come out. And even though I went to them, people, we also tapped them, some of them still didn't come out. So it's a clear scenario. It's not like they voted, they didn't vote. And that is something we obviously have to look at. So that's something we have to address. And that's something that we have to put deep thought in so that we could be able to try and understand fully and well what transpired and how we could be able to address that moving forward.
Mr. Mayor Mentor, I want to go back on money. The PNC, the last election was held in Ghana in 2020. The PNC had 5 years to raise money, raise funds. What happened? You tell me in the last year they're trying to raise funds. They had 5 years to raise funds, 5 years. You tell me they still didn't have money?
Well, it's not like, listen, yes, we had 5 years to raise funds, but we had 5 years to be able to run the system. There's a cost in running every year and being able to deal with that cost. So there are a number of I wouldn't want to say juggle. There were a number of different variables that our leader and others had to deal with in order to make things work and to keep us together. And the kind of challenge our leader would have had from the number of persons who undermined him, the number of persons who shifted sides, the number of different contentiousness that he had to deal with persons who are, was on his slate or was part of the parliamentary arrangement who were pulling in different directions. So those kind of things creates certain lack of confidence from not necessarily from within the business sector, within the whatever, and these kind of things cause people to also change direction. So there were a lot of internal issues and also some other external ones that caused him to not being able to pull things together. Because while we were supposed to be pulling together more, there were a little bit of fractures that he had to address and had to deal with and had to move time or move resources or to speak to the public about some issue about this and that. So a lot of things he obviously and others became very distracted on, and obviously those things spill over into the public domain where persons themselves got a little disoriented with what is going on, and that in itself affected the voting population and the votes, the confidence that people would have in us, as well as the non-joining of the APNU AFC coalition.
My mentor, here is my thing. Here's this. And I know a lot of your comrades will disagree with me, including the leader, but I just call it as I see it. The PNC has the vast array of land. Where the PNC is located, where Congress is located, is it in, what's the place called? Where Congress is located?
It's Sophia,
Sophia.
but it's just off of Prashad Nagar, so to speak.
Okay. Look at the land the PNC got there. The land is, bushes are being cultivated on that land. You're telling me that they have that land and short of money? That land should be cultivated and bring a lot of money into the party. Look, I've never seen a party with that vast array of land. Never did.
All right. Well, what I could say to you, and I mean, I want you to be aware of where we were at in relation to that property. That property itself, where it sits, it's about 19, maybe thereabout acres. The challenge we've had with that property is twofold, and it also comes around based on the overall classification of the property. It's a party property or party business or anything of party is not something that people do for profit. Everybody know that organizations that are political parties, it's for a political nature and it's merely institutional. But what has happened with the different administrations over the years, not necessarily of the party, but the people of the party that was part of the city council, they did not allow the property to have the right classification. But I guess some of that has been a situation where the PPP themselves knew of the value and as you rightfully said, the value that we sit on, and they helped to, because remember they were part of the government in the early 2000s and all the way to 2015. So I think Hamilton Green, who was part of the system, moved to have the reclassification of the property to institutional and to be able to cause them to honor all the obligation from the party perspective. And those things were put in place, but again, was obviously frustrated by different persons working within the council. And so it's something that I am actually working on as we speak to be able to deal with. It's something I'm working on to be able to clear this anomaly up that has been affecting us and burdening us over the years. And like I said, from the standpoint of maximizing on the use of the property, not necessarily from a farming perspective, but from other aspects that we look at as to how we'll deal with that. But again, there's people within the party system that are looking at that and looking at how we'll be able to address those matters. But first, we have to address the matter from a city council's perspective to sort out the perceived or the alleged taxes it's supposed to be owed by the People National Congress
I'm coming to the taxes just
council.
now. But you said there were some things that were not done. The Granger administration was there for 5 years. Why didn't they straighten that out? And are you telling me that the property you couldn't rent land and give to farmers to plant it?
Well, then I don't know. Farmers might be the thing, but I think there's other things that you could significantly do with those lands and properties that we could surely benefit from, and to cause our comrades to also benefit from it. But and you made a very significant point. Yes, it was addressed in it was addressed under Hamilton Green. When the Granger administration came into power, they put systems in place in 2017 to have those, not necessarily People's National Congress property, but they put systems in place to pass certain other bylaws that will allow for you to be able to have properties that are not for profit, to have the benefit of an institutional rate rather than a commercial rate or a residential rate, or in industrial, so to speak. So if it's used for political and other purposes, and it's in that realm, they should have an institutional rate. So I think the institutional rate was, but it was worked on, but it couldn't come into law because it was blocked at the time by the PPP administration at that time. But it was eventually put in place under the Chase Green's administration, but then they left it. If you understand where I come from. So it's like sometimes you do something, you put it right, and then you undo nothing else further to that. So that was really again a blimp on the side of the persons who treated with that. I was part of the council in 2017. But remember, I was a young councillor gone in there 2016, 2017, and I did had all the knowledge of all that's happening. It took me some time to be able to understand all the workings of
Okay,
the
let
system.
me ask you this
So
question. When Congress Place was built, when the place was built, what year? Do you know?
I think it probably was built before 1992, but the property.
It was built before Barnum's death, 1985.
Well, like I said, it was there for some time, but it was officially regularized in 1992 under Desmond Hoyt. So it was property that was granted or acquired. I don't know how it was. I don't know the full facts of it,
Okay, I
but
understand.
but the party had that property, and then it was originally regularized under Desmond Hoyt's leadership, where the property was eventually transported to to a holding company that treats with the party's properties.
Okay. Now, is it true that the party is indebted heavily to GPL and to the city taxes, to the city in
Well,
taxes?
that's what I'm saying. I could speak to city and its taxes, and I like I said to you, it's an untrue statement. I've said it to the public before. I've said it to when I think Vice President Barajagde was speaking about these matters sometime early this year and late last year about the party having high indebtedness to the council. I've said it over and over that the statement that they make is totally untrue because these matters concerning the party and the property was settled long before. The problem is that there's an issue of settlement and the administration of the council doing what it's supposed to do to be able to allow, because I've seen payments made within the system that treats with that. So there was an issue of a settlement, but not an evolution of that overall process based on the decisions of the council to treat with those matters. So, but the monies and everything, like I said, was accepted to bring to realization what should have happened at the level of the council then, and then the transition of those properties from a commercial rate to an institutional rate, and those things has not evolved in the way in which it should. So we are at the point, I believe, at the level of the council where these matters were raised all just before the elections, and it's with us now to be able to find a permanent resolution to it, so that that tag on the part on us as a party will be removed, and that tag will no longer be there. So we'll be treating with that. We're working towards dealing with that. And it's not only but the People National Congress reform or whoever it may be. There are many other persons who have those kind of tags, business people in the country and other persons who have significant indebtedness to us. And we have to be able to try and find workable solutions to be able to deal with those.
So the PNC owes the city council, and I'm sure the PNC owes GPL. So
I don't know about the GPL part because the one I go there up to last night or a couple nights ago and I got electricity. If the OGPL, they cut off the lights.
Not necessary, because it's a big party and GPL will not do that. GPL probably negotiate like how you're negotiating with them. But let me ask you the question. Maybe you will not say it. How much money did PNC owe City Hall for that property?
Well, like I said to you, remember it's a very sensitive one.
Okay.
It's one that we'll have to resolve. There have been stuff bandied about stating that we owe this which is not true. Um, so when those matters are identified, which is something that will be on our one of our agendas pretty shortly, we'll bring resolution to it, and that and deal with those matters so that the party could be on sound footing, based on the assets that it has. I also remember clearly, even when the party had its base after these elections where we lost significant votes in different areas, and we were the biggest loser, so to speak, other than the PPP. When I strongly believe that while Win took seats and took votes, I believe he took votes from both sides. I don't understand how this thing looked like it's a one-sided thing, like the man only took APNU votes. There were PPP votes that were taken and other
Yeah,
votes.
Win took
I get
PPP vote. The Win took the vast majority of votes from APNU. Let me ask you this
right.
question. Do you
Uh-huh.
believe going into the election that the PNC or APNU would have lost Region 4
Well,
and would have been
I,
relegated to
I,
third party
I
status?
yeah, I could never fathom that because remember that is our strongest area. Georgetown is the strongest area. East Bank we get significant votes from, and we get our votes from pockets of places on the East Coast. East Bank and right. So
Right.
I could not have seen such a move or such a, a scenario happening where it is moved from one extreme to another extreme. I couldn't have seen that. That was never on my cards. And so I was very surprised that these are the numbers that turn out to be, and so on and so forth. I'm still in awe that this kind of situation has happened, and I'm doing my own reflection to really ascertain what really transpired. But again, I don't want to give put a voice or a position on that while other things are
I
being
will tell you what
explored.
really transpired later on. But the
Yes, all
party
right.
in 2020 had 217,000 votes.
Yes.
In this election here, it has 77,000 votes. This means it lost 150,000 votes in the last
Yes.
5 years.
How that's possible? I don't know.
No, you know it's possible. All the PNC members know this is possible, but they don't want to say it.
Well,
It's the
I
leadership.
listen.
It
All
is the
right.
leadership. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, and this is the
Uh-huh.
thing that I don't understand, that Franklin D. Roosevelt said that the buck stops with him at his desk.
Mhm.
Do you believe that Norton should accept full responsibility for the catastrophic defeat of the PNC and resign? Because any decent leader with what happened, they would have resigned. Any decent leader. But instead, the party executives supported him and said he's going to be the party leader. If you break something like that, you can rebuild it. You know the reason was Norton. All the PNC members know the reason is Norton. But you know what? You all stifle your conscience, so you got what you deserve. They know going into this election, Norton was nowhere close to winning anything. I saw it. I was there in Georgetown. I was there all over the country. I saw it where the PNC, you see, when people there, PEP, nobody from APNU, not even in the strong black neighborhoods, people going for a win, going for the PEP. So it has to do with his leadership. Let me say this to you, and I could tell Norton this to his face, but I'm speaking publicly as well. If one person quit the party, two people quit the party, I say, okay, that's their fault. But when you have 10, 12 people walking away from the party, that's the leadership fault. A leader is supposed to hold everybody together and mold them, even though they have different views, hold them together. But no, he did not. So I'm saying to you, he should have do the honorable thing and resign and let the party strive without him. Could be the interim leader until Congress is held. But no, the executives ratified him again. Mayor Mentor, you know, next year might be local government elections. And next year you all might have a Congress. What will happen? You're not going up against the PP alone. You're going against two parties, Win and this party. What will happen to you all? It will be a complete wipeout again.
Well,
If nobody in the PNC can tell Norton publicly that it's your fault, because the party leadership tells them that if they say that, they'll be ostracized. Nobody.
Like I said, I myself and Mr. Norton have frank discussions on many matters. We haven't had a real debriefing on what transpired at the level of the elections, but from the conversation I've had with Mr. Norton, if he says 10 words, I say the next 10. We don't have a one of where he has been a superior subordinate kind of a relationship. We've always had a relationship where he respect where I am and I respect where he be, and we have frank conversations. And I would not blame Mr. Norton for what has happened in this thing. The elections is about a leader and a team. But if you have a team of persons there, they're supposed to have taken up certain slack and be able to deal with
But
certain matters.
did he engage his team?
Yes, man. Listen, I
No,
have had
that's not what I heard.
I have
Many
had
senior members of the party told me Norton never spoke to them. Well, let me say this to you. I'm from the quarantine.
Right.
And the quarantine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black districts, including First Dorado, Cotton, where my mom is from. Everybody there I'm related to and everything else. And I went into all those villages. You know what the people saying? They haven't seen Norton, but they've seen the PP, they've seen President Jagger, Vice President Jagger, they've seen Orphan, President Ali.
So I mean they see them personally because
Yeah,
remember
they went into those villages.
Remember Norton can't be all over the place as a one singular person. I mean that's why I said elections is about the leader and a team.
How President Ali did it?
You got the resources. You got helicopter. You could fly from here, there, and everywhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah,
Forget the helicopter, you can drive. They
yeah.
had 5 years to raise
But
money. But the
I have
party was
seen
more
Norton.
interested in fighting among
Norton
themselves.
drive. I've seen Norton drive from Harlem region from 1 to 10 every week. Go back, he come back. I sometimes I ask myself, where did he find all this energy to be able to do that? See the difference with the APNU and the PNC and the PPP is that they have a number of other leaders within the system, and they also have the resources to be able to get those other persons there who, when you remember when you're in government, you always have that extra bit of clout. People see as minister, people see as this. Yes, we have MPs and so on and so forth, and I think you find out different areas sending different persons. But again, some of those moves may have been a little too late. And remember, these elections were called on us very suddenly, and for us to be able to get ourselves together to be able to deal with that. But again, it's water under the bridge now. We have to find new ways.
But what I'm saying to you, the people went into all the areas. They did a fantastic job. I was of the quarantine.
They got the resources.
Not even MPs went there. It's the local people left to campaign. The local people in the village left to campaign on behalf of APNU.
Here we come back to, it comes back to team. It comes back to Norton and a team and the other members of the team that didn't do the additional work or did
so
not.
Why didn't send his team up Barbies?
He didn't send it. Why do you believe he didn't send it?
Because they were not. I'm saying to you, I'm not blaming you. I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah.
But I'm saying to you, I was there. I came there since in May.
I saw you there. I saw you a few times.
And I left there on September 4th. And I went to Barbies all the time, asking anybody came from the PNC. No, we only see PV people and Win people. They're telling me President Ali was there. President Ali was there. Norton coming to visit us. He wants our vote.
I hear you and I agree with you. And that is stuff that we have to treat with, and we have to learn from our errors and our mistakes.
Do you think he should resign and be a caretaker legal until the next Congress?
I don't know why I resign and be caretaker. Whenever the next Congress come, we'll treat with that. And from what I've understand from his logics and his indication is that Emma Norton has done his part. He has spent a lot of time away from his family and running and dealing with politics. I don't know that he wants to just stay along and tag along, but he will have to work to be able to identify, along with others, the new set of persons that will take the party forward. And whatever role he plays in that process of before and after is something that we will see from him. But I don't know him to be one of those persons who want to hold on to any power. I mean, what kind of power he will have in this particular case? He's the leader. He is the person who has to work on this transitional period. And again, those are things that he will deal with, and to help with training the other cadre of persons that will, be able to lead us moving forward.
Mayor Mentor, when you lost Linden and when you lost
Mhm.
Georgetown Region 4, if you're
Well,
telling
we lost Georgetown. We won Georgetown, but
yeah, but you lost Region 4.
we lost Region 4.
In the last election,
Yeah.
the PNC had 116,000, close to 170,000 votes, the PEP had 80,000.
Mhm.
In this election, the
And
PNC
PVP
got,
maintained 80,000, and we went to what, 40
the PEP
something thousand,
surpassed 80,000, and you all
yeah,
dropped to, I think,
40
what,
something.
40 something thousand. Why
Mhm.
is that? That's my point. If that's not a
But
leadership failure,
I don't know. Like
it
I said, I still don't believe how this whole thing happened in relation to the numbers. Again, I'm still looking at those things and trying to understand from SOP and other standpoint, and how these things thing. But again, those they are people who are dealing with that. So I don't want to give my mouth any liberty
okay.
in relation to
President
this.
President Ali, Vice
So,
President Jagdeo, they designate people to go into certain regions and certain areas.
mhm.
If Leader Norton had done that, the people would have gone. But I'm saying to you, I have no MP visited Borbis. He didn't visit Borbis himself. Even the chairperson in Amsterdam and the mayor of Amsterdam saying
Well,
that,
you got an MP from Boris. So I didn't know why it said that there's an MP, a man named Jai Prashad, who was an
yes,
MP
he
part
was
of Boris.
complaining. He complained to me.
Well, if you said
And
nobody visited,
So Grim, the
but-
chairperson of Borbis in Amsterdam, complained as well.
Mhm.
All they were complaining, nobody's coming from Georgetown to help us here.
Mhm.
That was the complaint. Nobody's coming to help us. So
Okay.
my point
Mhm.
is that if yet there are other people to go up there and help these people,
Mhm.
might have different results.
I,
You know,
I
they got
like
27, you know, got 27,000 Afro Guyanese voters up in Region 6.
mhm.
How much you got? How many got? About 7,000
I,
to 8,000.
mhm. And then you got
So
Region
that
5,
tells me
which
that
uh,
was a leadership crisis. But you all don't want to say it. You all want to sugarcoat him. Norton completely failed this party. When you took a party from 270,000 votes to 77,000 votes, it's your leadership. You have to take responsibility, nobody else. But when people tell me, oh, you can't blame Norton alone, then he is the head. When a corporation fails in the States, the
mhm.
chief is gone, the CEO.
But he's not a CEO, he's chairman.
But he's the leader. Anyway, let's move away from that. Now, tell me, how do you think, what are your views on how this party should be rebuilt to retake Region 4 and Region 10?
Like obviously, yes. Region 4, which speaks of East Coast, East Bank, Georgetown. Um, we obviously got to try and preserve. I've seen major outreaches from different comrades or many of the persons who will also be part of the next parliament, doing their work, doing their foot slogging, and spending quality time with the comrades on the road. and in the various areas. And I've seen particularly the person that will lead in the APNU in the next parliament, which is Mr. Campbell or
Dr.
Dr.
Campbell,
Campbell,
yeah.
spending key quality time with those persons. I've had significant conversations and engagement with him on a number of areas, from a financial standpoint, from leadership standpoint, and how this process, how we look at reforming and how we'll be able to take matters forward. So I've had significant engagement with those persons themselves. I've also walked around with them from time to time. So we'll be doing a number of things. I wouldn't want to divulge key strategic moves that we were making on this public program.
No, but you
But
should
I
tell
guess
the people what you all will be doing in the various districts.
um,
Everyone
what
listen to
what
us.
what I could say for sure is that we are rekindling our relationship with those persons. We're trying to reach out to them from a hand, reaching, understanding their concerns, noting them, um, taking measures to be able to address in whatever way we can. It's obvious, like I said, and I think I said it from the start of the program, that if you're gonna not if you when you can get involved in fighting in this any election, from either another local elections or whenever a national election is or local is held, it has to be one where you operate from a standpoint of being part of enterprise, or being part of having the financial wherewithal to be able to deal with these issues. So it's not no longer a situation where we'll be taking it, or like you're going to beg for votes. Yes, we'll beg for votes, but while you beg for those votes, you'll have those persons who will give you their votes anyhow. But you have to be able to create measures in or out of government to incentivize persons and to get them involved, and to get them to trust and believe in you, trust and work with you. I also even I want to say this, and I think I was to say it earlier, that as bad as it is from a standpoint of where we move from that level to this level, I think the first thing that the vice president came out and said, when he came out swinging, he said that, oh, I prefer to work with the APNU over the win man, and I want to be
Right,
able to
yes, yes,
extend that olive branch.
right.
And I must say that they have contributed significantly to our where we stand, where the suffering that they've caused to our constituency was ridiculous, because they caused a situation where, by trying to mess with us, it also indirectly messed with our people. And that particular challenge, where we were not able to do as much as we can for those people, affected our overall image. And I guess that he obviously has realized that, because at the end of the day, both parties, twisted or turned, need each other. And I guess more than ever now, more of the kind of olive branches will have to be um, extended to us, so that we could be able to build back
Yeah,
our
he
team,
wants he
and to
wants
be
to have an all-inclusive system, the vice president. He has always talked about that.
and again, for us to be a formidable challenge, and that is
Right.
what is important moving forward. So we'll be working within our system. We'll be trying to form these different alliances along the way. But the key to this all, and the key to being competitive in any elections, local or national, is that you gotta be wherewithal to be able to deal with it, because you're not fighting anymore against people who are doesn't have the capacity to be able to deal with it. They will go to the extra bit, because it becomes a billionaire fight. So we have to be able to be in that sphere where we can have those billions available to us to be able to make the impact and to make that contribution.
The vice president has tremendous respect for the PNC APNU, and he like to
Mhm.
see an all-inclusiveness involving APNU as well, even though they're a third-party status. And that's
Yeah.
what we was talking about, which is very, very good for the country,
Yes,
because
I hear you.
you don't want to leave anybody out, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that, and I saw that particular stance, and like I said, whenever I should have a chance to speak with the vice president, be based as mayor on a number of grounds that we have to deal with at the council, I will surely extend wherever, because I will say to him clearly, if you are willing to extend that olive branch to the leader, I'm an extension of the leader. So that olive branch has to be extended to the council so that we could be able to treat with issues and to
Yeah,
allow for a different dispensation.
indeed, he saw the election results, and he believed now
Mhm,
that it's time for
mhm,
to forget about the election and bring everybody on board to have an
mhm.
all-inclusiveness with
Yeah,
government, even though in
mhm,
opposition,
yeah,
consultants and so forth, and that's what he was
yeah,
talking about, and that's what I think they will do, even though they
mhm,
have a majority. So, which is good for the
mhm,
country, and it's good for
mhm,
people of all from all
mhm.
different stripes. Now, folks, you listen to Globespan. The time now is 8:25. You're tuning into Globespan. Don't go any place. Stay there. Let me just run this commercial, and I'll get back to you in less than 2 minutes. All from OneSupplier.com. It's a West Indian food store where you can get all your West Indian food. I don't know why we use the word West Indian, but I'll use it. Groceries, roti, fish, curry, meat, you name it. All from One Supply has it. And they do home deliveries as well. You can use an EBT card, your credit card, or your debit cards. All from OneSupplier.com. Go on the website, allfromonesupply.com, and you can order whatever you want, and it will be delivered to your home. That's if you live in New York, in Queens, and those areas. And they also deliver across the country as well. So there's no part they won't deliver. They're located at 10809 Liberty Avenue, and the number is 718-551-3292. 718-551-3292. All from OneSupplier.com. Go on that website. Now, Travel Span has been in business for over 31 years, and they're very experienced, and they will address all your traveling needs. Everyone, you leave it up to them. They'll book your hotel for you, and they'll do everything. So, if you have any problems and you want to travel, just call Travel Span. They have upcoming tours to Dubai, India, South Africa, and Norway, among other countries. They are located at 10809 Liberty Avenue in Richmond Hill. The number is 718-845-0437. And they're in Georgetown, 227-1701. Rosal Tongue on the quarantine, 337-4287. And in Shaguna, in Trinidad and Tobago, 665-3383. And in Val Park, also in Trinidad, 645-1604. So contact Travel Span for all your traveling needs. Thank you. Mayor Mentor, let me go now to the cleaning up of the city. First, let me say one thing. Who's supposed to clean the cemetery? Lapentier.
Lapantier Cemetery is a responsibility of the mayor and city council because we sell the lots, or we deal with matters there. The cemetery is a property of the mayor and city council by transport, given to us by Mr. Lapantier.
Right.
Um, so it's our responsibility, fall under the council. But the massive nature of it, and the even though we sell lots and we prepare these things, remember these things are not, we don't sell and deal with cemetery like how you guys in America operate, where the lot is so much of money, the maintenance of this, the every year, the arrangement that you guys have, we ain't got that kind of thing. It's a being um we try to reach out to our people and try to subsidize this thing. So had we looked at it from that standpoint, how you guys manage cemeteries and deal with cemeteries. I just went to New York to a funeral, of a good family of mine, and in New York, and I think he was buried in Long Island.
Right.
And I went all the way to Long Island to that cemetery. I don't remember the name. but there's some in Long Island, but it's a massive, massive miles and miles of cemetery. But
Right.
when you get the facts from the family as to how much for the lot, how much you got pay even before if you buy into it, you got continuously pay even before you die, what you pay for maintenance, and so on and so forth. It comes up to a fair clip. Had we put systems like that in place or put by various members of the council and administration, maybe we'll have had a different arrangement. That has not been done. And we've been trying to subsidize the cost and absorbing costs at the level of the council to deal with that issue. So what we have done recently, and I mean, I was able to see it with my own eyes in that trip to Long Island. I gotta get the name of the exact cemetery, so at least you might be able to know. But
It's
the
not Pine
fact that
Lawn. It's got to be Pine
Pine,
Lawn.
yes, that's Pine Lawn
Okay.
Cemeteries. Yes, that's it.
It's called Pine
So
Lawn Memorial Park, I think.
Memorial Park, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is where he was buried. So I went there. I also saw the various mausoleum and so on and so
Right.
forth there,
Right.
and how they set up that kind of a situation where it's something that we are actually looking at with some of the lands that we have. We've just had um, a public-private partnership signed between the Sandy's Funeral Home and the council to treat with some acres that we have there of having a what's called a mausoleum and the other thing. I can't remember the name of the thing. It's a crematorium, partly
Right.
crematorium,
Okay.
partly mausoleum, and we'll have that kind of a situation. And the deal that we've worked out will also take into consideration some other areas that will be cleared and then and how we'll be able to deal with that. So we'll have that kind of an option in in the cemetery. Plus, government themselves have taken responsibility of looking after the roads. So they're doing that for us as we speak. We will do the other adjoining bridges, and we will work on areas as to how we'll be able to clean up the place in its entirety. I mean, we might not be able to do all one time, but we'll be able to do blocks by blocks or major beds by major beds. But it's something that we have focus on and we have an interest in. I've said it before, even as councillor and as deputy mayor, that it's important that you look after the dead, because if you can look after the dead as good as where it should be, it will send a clear message as to what you're doing for the people that are living. But even though we try to address the issue of allocating the kind of funds towards dealing with the cemetery and the dead, people also complain about this particular plan of, hey, you're spending too much money there over this. So I've met with a number of different bodies, the Commonwealth Heritage Foundation and other persons who are dealing with such matters. And they are also working to be able to have additional grants for us to be able to address those issues. So outside of the monies we have, outside of what government will spend, outside of what public-private partnerships we will have, we'll be able to have more than enough to be able to address it. It might not happen over the first year, but maybe in a couple of years, you'll be able to see a major shift in what the cemetery was and what the cemetery should be.
I don't think anybody go to that cemetery to visit the dead ones, because I passed there one night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to go back the day to see what I was seeing right. That's a forest.
We've doing on the road till 8 o'clock, man.
I was coming from a friend's party up,
I
up
was
in,
beginning to check on what's happened there.
and when I passed this cemetery road, I said, "Is this for real?" And I went back there the next morning to see if I was seeing right the night.
How
That
long ago you talking about?
this was just in August here.
Okay,
This
but
was this year.
the cemetery road has been
Not the
done up
road.
on
The cemetery
oh
itself is a forest.
oh
Nobody can go
the
there to see
height
the
of
dead.
the height of the trees, yes. No, it's some
Nobody can find the tomb
I
with the parents or the aunts and uncles buried in
uh,
that place.
but
But my
but
question to you is this,
uh,
Mr. How
uh,
many funeral homes are in Guyana?
I know you
Merriman?
got Merrimont, Sandy's. They got another one in some in Arthur Street. I can't remember the name right now.
Okay.
They have other, but the main ones is Merriman's and Sandy's for the city that operate. There's many others, someone named
Okay.
Carmen, something
But
with
you
a
can
home and
approach
yeah.
them and ask them
Mhm.
for some grant to help you clean that place, plus approach some businessmen.
They
These are
finish,
dead people. And
yeah.
if you can't treat your
But
dead with respect, nobody can go there to see any family members. Snakes and alligators or whatever, they will eat them out.
well,
That's a
like I
forest.
said to you, this is not. I might be in the council for some time. A lot of emphasis was not placed on the cemetery in within the last two terms, I guess, for us to be able to deal with it. I am working towards putting systems in place and to be able to have the necessary fund. Like I said, I worked with from a public-private standpoint to be able to get certain things in place. I'm working with those people who will help us from a grant funding standpoint, and we're closer to getting to that. And the government themselves seeing what has happened and what has transpired has also taken stock of where we at, and they're now making those roads as accessible as possible. It's now our responsibility as a council to in this new budget cycle also to address some funds, see what other grant funding we have, and I want to say this to you, the person that are working from the heritage people and so on, they're looking at this thing in a fashion where it could be like a tourist product. Not people coming to visit the wherever they are, but they're people who were buried there, governors and this body and Chinese of certain things that are part of our whole um, colonial times, we are working on those things to be able to make it also a great buy-in by different countries who will work and understand the product that we are trying to sell, so that we be able to have more players. I agree with you. Business people should play a significant role
But,
in
but you but,
helping us and dealing with
but
that. But
you have to approach, you have to have a PR team to approach the business people, and I'm sure they will come to your help. But every mayor that goes there
mm, mm,
just accuse the government they're not giving us enough money. Go to
yeah,
the business community, the
well,
private
like I
sector.
said, even though I'm not the one who, if you notice how I operate, I'm not one who belt stones like that. I would speak to government from a very structured standpoint, from an educated standpoint, to understand exactly where they're at, whatever. And I don't want to go turning up in me begging bowl to say, hey, give me this, give me that, give me that. They must be able to see what you are doing, what plans you got in place, what systems you put in place to be able to deal with these issues, so that when I come to them, it's 50% or 60% already put where we at, and if they could add it 30 or 40%. So I am not the one who like who do things in such a fashion, and I don't go about the place accusing the government of not being able to find all
Okay.
the solutions for us.
I am not
We're a government ourselves.
I'm not a business person.
Mhm.
That's clear.
Okay.
But you should be able to get a cost, how much to clean
Mhm.
the cemetery, both sides.
Mhm.
And then ask companies to subscribe to the cleaning. And when it's cleaned, don't let it go back. As soon as it starts to go back, you spray it. That's
Mhm.
easy.
Well, you see, there's the other part that we gotta talk about. Um, while we want to do those things, and you hear you talk about spraying. Um, some people say certain spray does not work with the dead and something with something, and then so you have all of these different challenges when you
Certain
try to
sprays don't
do.
work with who? Dead?
Yeah, no, they say you can't spray this because it can something else. So you gotta be able. These are the kind of
Who told you? Who
idea.
told
But yeah, people talk about
the dead will know anything about sprays?
well,
Really?
not the dead. They're saying how it's gonna affect something on it. Whatever. So you have to get the right thing to be able to spray the
Well,
grass around the
I
thing
would
and so
not
on.
listen. Well, get the right thing then, but I would not listen to
Yeah,
those because when
yeah,
you're dead. That's it.
yeah.
You know.
Uh,
Now,
all
that's
right.
you should get a cost. If it costs $10 million, you approach companies or send your PR team to approach companies, ask them for help to
Mhm.
clean it because people have to respect the dead. But I see there that is
Mhm.
a forest. Nobody goes there to visit the family.
Yeah,
Nobody.
but even though it has these big trees and so on, based on my discussions we have with the heritage people, and this is the Commonwealth Heritage people. Um, some of some of those trees should remain based on how they see it and how they looked at it. Because at the end of the day, it also create that kind of shade, that kind of
Okay, we got big tall trees.
environmental.
What I
Yeah.
see there, the trees are not tall. They're just about 8 to 10 feet high.
All right. So we can have
And
the
you
big ones,
can't
and we
go
can
there.
also and
Alligators
we
are
can
there.
also
Snakes are
remain
there.
remove the other one. I hear you, and maybe the next time we speak, I should have a better plan in place. Not necessarily a plan, one that we're executing on, at least at some first
Okay.
phase to deal with.
I'm just complaining because it's a shame to know that the Lapeter Cemetery, where the vast
No,
majority of Guyanese buried, is
yeah.
like
When I
in
was
that
when I
condition.
was overseas the other day, people tell me about it. The abusement. So I take my views in just like you are also telling me the facts, and I but
I'm not abusing you, but I'm only saying it's a shame.
no, you're telling me the truth, so I hear you. I
And
like
if
the
you
truth.
ask people there, the local guys to
Mm,
come and help weed the place, they probably
mm.
volunteer their time as well.
Uh, Here, Bob, we used to have a situation where over the years you used to have the prisoners also being a part of that. Then you hear that was an issue. Why we bringing out prisoners to do this? We used to do that, give them small jobs to deal with those issues as a way of sustaining the thing. Then you hear there's another problem. So it's a lot of things that's happening in this country where there's so much of debate on and around them, rather than just get the job done. Look, I met with which I believe he'll come to at some point, but I met with the Minister of Local Government yesterday,
Yeah, I was
and
coming to that, Miss Spearman.
all right, and
She's a very
and she
polite person, and she
yeah,
will help you.
no, she's also very action oriented,
Right.
and she said to me, she said. And I have listened to her from that perspective because I am also, remember before I got involved in city council, I was involved in business. I've been involved in real estate business, building
Right,
and
right.
treating with properties and so on and so forth over the years. So I have a very active style of getting things done. I am very proactive in the way I do stuff. But then I come involved in this bureaucratic place but I never stop. If there's one person that told me this, Oscar Clark, God rest he dead, said, Mentor, I want you to maintain the same style, the same way in which you deal with matters where even though you came from the business sector, you keep your business perspective on how you get these things done. You keep that, you bring a business perspective to politics and one that you bring a certain tone as to how you deal with matters. When I spoke to her yesterday, because I've told her this is my style, and the counselors that are there know my style and the way in which I operate. So she said, um, she have these conflicts with people who just like writing plans and writing up this and all of these feasibility study for this, which is get dust anyway. So she is a believer in moving the process forward, carrying it wherever it's supposed to be. If at some point midway along the line, we can figure out about some plan and we can figure out how we can tailor this to suit up, but we would have learned maybe of some of them on trial and error, but we will be getting the stuff done. And that is my how I have been operating. I hear this, I hear that, but I like to get moving with stuff. So I have been um what do you call it, wired in a particular way, and I will continue to be wired in that particular way, and I will not change. So I know, but while I do that, remember I'm working within a bureaucratic structure that needs meeting of the next meeting to get the meeting of the thing done, and I hate that kind of stuff. I go to meetings to actually activate things to move this forward and to find exactly what we're doing. So I merely manage by objective. I list them and I want this done and I want this done by this time. Okay, you move with this, and to try to get that done. With the limited resources that we have. So I will be working again, hopefully with the government on this particular case, and to see how we could drive the collaboration necessary so that the citizen will benefit.
I think Minister Manikan is a very, as you said, action-oriented person, and she will
Mm,
give you all the help as
mm,
possible. But Georgia indeed needs cleaning up. But one thing I'll tell you, and Minister Manikan, if you're hearing, and all those in authority we're hearing, please purchase garbage cans. and you can bolt them down to every second street so that you can put a garbage in there and not throw it in the street. When people see garbage cans, I know they're not oriented to do that, but they will eventually see others doing it and they will follow. The city need maybe about 500 garbage cans placed in the streets. And you don't place them there, you tie them on to bolt them down to something or tie them on to something so no one steals them. And people go and put the garbage in there. That's what the city needs. Nobody never came up with that plan. You can't have a city and there's no garbage. Where do people throw the garbage? So you put garbage cans, maybe see every second street, and people will walk and put the garbage in there. That's a good plan I give to you. I hope the minister, Ms. Malika, is listening, and all those in authority listening to help the city keep Georgetown clean. That's your capital city. It belongs to everybody. And when tourists come, they will at least see a nice city and will want to come back. But if it's dirty, they're not going to come back, you know. So that's one of my suggestions to you. Get garbage cans and put them down there, and that they should be empty out every 2 or 3 days. People come to New York, they see this happening all over the place. Why they don't go back and implement these things?
Yeah, like I said to you, it's not like if for a want of doing. Many times, some of the things we also do is based on our affordability of clearance. We could only do once per day. I guess those are things we also had a discussion with the minister that while we could afford to do this based on our resources, we need to at least do at least twice per day clearing with the various contractors as well as the administration trucks that we have. So there's a number of things that or initiatives that we'll work on, but I guess we've also laid out to the minister the various challenges that we've had and how we'll be able to collectively work as a team to be able to deal with these matters and how we could get the city cleaner. Ideally, some of the other challenges we've had over time was members of the administration and so on working against the will of the council, and that comes about because of some members are also feel that if they could make the place look nasty or whatever, it's gonna also benefit the PPP or something like that, where the blame will fall on us. So, but what came out of those discussions is that persons are expected to be more political on these matters, and the city itself has to be uh, something that we have to keep clean. So the importance of collective behavior and a general collectiveness and stop playing politics because that hinders progress, that hinders development, that hinders the way we look. So those things, I guess, will go on the back burner because it's important that, and I think what has gotten out of this is that it's important from the council side and the government side. If you don't do enough, the people can blame you anyhow. So it's best to get it done, best to deliver on the responsibility of getting up every day and do what we're supposed to do, and ensure that the city is clean and clear. And like you rightfully said, the outlook from persons abroad will obviously be happier that we could at least achieve such a situation and at least make Georgetown the pilot that will be able to, transition to the other towns and other NDCs and so on and so forth.
Folks, you listen to Globespan. It's 8:48. Mr. Mayor, we have 12 minutes to go. Let me ask you a quick question here. Local government elections may come up next year. I think it's due, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think the PNC will be able to win Georgetown?
Yeah, but even in these elections that we had here, we have won the most votes in between North Georgetown and South Georgetown. And
Right.
again, like I said to you that the challenge we also had is a number of persons who didn't come out to vote, and we will educate those persons and we will force those persons to be able to deliver and to get them back out there and get them back on stream with us. So we have a work cut out for us, and it's a responsibility of the party and the district and the general uh, strategy, whatever we choose, how we need to do that. But we are already on the ground. We are already working towards dealing with matters. Again, resources has to be put in place, and we're working towards dealing with that. Not only resources about elections, but resources as to how we continue to fund the party and fund the staff and fund what we have. And we'll be dealing with those things we are dealing with those things on a daily basis and on a weekly basis to be able to ensure that we're able to do those things and to keep the people as energized
Are you a member
as
of the
they.
PNC executive?
Well, no, I'm not a member of the
Okay.
PNC executive, but I'm part of the um finance committee and the planning of where we at. And that is very critical. I being a part of the executive or not is not a big issue for me, but I guess maybe in the new whenever that Congress is sometime next year, I will surely play a significant part in the leadership
In,
structure.
in 2020, about 10% of the youths in Georgetown stayed home. In this election, look at almost double that number. Why is it that the youths are staying home?
But I don't know if all of them stay home. But what I could say to you is that the what I could say to you is that they had the people who would normally vote for us, when we have these elderly voters as well as the normal comrades and persons who um are, are part of the system has constantly gone out there and vote. Um I find those persons were a little disoriented based on a number of things like I've said earlier. And it's for us to be able to get back to them to understand. And we have been going to them. We've also been listing all the things that they've said, and now have to put corrective measures and be able to deal with those issues. The youths themselves, I thought when I thought I got an observation from my daughter particularly, who was doing a bit of an evaluation. And one of the things they said is that it appeared that the regular voters who went out and voted, but the young vote somewhere else. I don't want to say what that is, so they were influenced somewhere else. But the regular voters who went out and voted, give you those votes, and those regular voters who were obviously had an issue with why they could have collated or why they could have this or whatever they feel, they stayed home because they didn't feel like they're dealing with that. But so those younger persons, we gotta spice ourselves up. We gotta be able to get more persons involved. More obviously, there are a number of youthful people that are joining and are getting involved. We just gotta get them involved and put them obviously to the forefront, but also ensure that we empower them. Not necessarily even from positions that whenever we get them, but also in ways in which we could empower them, from seeing how we could help them from an education standpoint, from seeing how we can help them by teaching them new skills, and see how we can empower them in many, many ways. I've One of the things I've realized, I think I wanted to make this particular point to you, but I think it came and it went. But let that point go for now. I had a point I wanted to make to you.
Okay. Now, we're in a jigsaw puzzle here. The PPP has 17 seats in Georgetown, right? In Region 4.
In
Normally,
the
the party that wins office
Yes.
gets the REO, right?
Mhm.
So they will get
Gets
the
the
REO. But the
they yes the
chairpersonship, they got 17. PNC has 9. Win has 8. And Ford Guyana Miss Desiree has 1. What do you think will
mhm.
happen?
um like I said, I would believe that there got to be some shared arrangement.
No, but
Uh,
if Miss
I,
Desiree join,
well, I
if
think I believe we gotta negotiate with all sides, all two sides, or whatever. You can't just negotiate with one block. You have to negotiate with
I know,
this
but you
block
only
and
have
then
two positions, the chair and the vice chair.
right, and you try to share those positions. Um, you negotiate with both sides and you allow a sharing of it between whoever agree to deal with it. So it's not like you need to remain intractable and not want to do this or do that. You work on where the best option should be, and you proceed. I guess those persons will be guided by the leader in how that is being done and
But
how
if
that
Ms.
will be.
Desir abstain from voting, what happens? The PP gets it.
Yeah, if you abstain, it becomes an yeah. So if you abstain, there's a point that they get what, a chairman and vice chairman basically, or no,
Yeah.
and you allow them to, yeah. But
And they,
again,
and they got the REO.
well, the REO is governmental,
Yeah, government
and
all
then
the
you got,
time, I
and you
know.
got it right. So it's a tricky thing, but from the conversation I've had, I believe that it should be one where good reasons should be put in place. You should try and work with because at the end of the day, you still got to work situation out, and it could be a case where you could end up winning these positions or having vice chair and chair. But remember, at the end of the day, you have to vote for this and that, and you could have a majority on the outside, moving to determine that you might got 17 seats, but the other side got 18. So you could vote down all them different things that happen. But the government themselves might do it differently. So it's a matter for the various councillors who were named and also the leadership who will help to guide that process.
And is any negotiations taking place?
Yes, there are negotiations going on as we speak. I think the elections for that should be Friday. Today is Wednesday, yes, on Friday, and for the various regions. I think they also have a situation with Linden. When Linden have, I think the win has 9 seats. Somebody got 5, somebody got 4, somebody got 1. So that is also up for grabs and up for discussions. So I don't know what will transpire, but I know that the all sides are trying to find one that is a win-win situation for all.
Uh, there was a scenario in St. Vincent and the Grenadines
Hmm.
years ago where they they had 15 seat parliament, and you must have a majority in order to get a prime ministerial position. But the one party, I think it was Cato's party, they expelled this guy. What's his name? I forgot his name now.
Vincent? Yeah.
Vince, yeah. And
Yeah, me,
he had 1 seat, and the two parties had 7 seats each.
mhm.
And Cato asked him to join his party, and he said, "No, I will not join." Offering the finance ministerial position, he said, "No, I will not join. I want the prime ministerial position." So you got 1 seat, you can't. He said, "You know what? I'm going and fish when you already called me." And they called him, Cato called him and said, "Okay, we're going to give you the prime ministerial position." And he got it with his 1 seat. And that's how they formed the government. If Ms. Desir should do something like that, what will happen?
If Mr. Who?
Ms. Desir from Fort Ghana should say, "I want the chairmanship."
Nah, business, was it Walton? Was it
Amanza.
Walton? Is it Walton Desir?
Amanza
Yeah,
Walton Desir.
nah, she don't have not obviously the one seat in this case. She can't demand them kind of things, or their party cannot demand that, especially
If she
when.
say, "Well, okay, if I don't get it, I'm now gonna support you guys," so the PP will get it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's what they have. They have to work out how they deal with this issue. I'm saying that they should try their best to keep their options open on all sides and be able to sort situation out. And they better try and lock hands sooner rather than later. Because the longer you take to be able to get to this point and to have an agreement on these issues, the longer it will take more things will ferment in your head. So it's a matter that they have to deal with, and I guess good
So you
sense
said
should
this will
prevail.
happen on Friday, this Friday.
Yeah, I think in all the regions, from what I heard. I'm
Okay.
not even not all, at least I know for sure Region 4 and Region 10.
Okay.
I heard, so there's the elections are gonna be happening.
Mayor Mentor, you've been a very wonderful guest, and I hope you'll come back sometime soon.
Yes.
We have come to the end of the program. Do you have any closing remarks?
Well, ideally, like I said, I'm grateful for the chance to be able to express to the citizenry and your viewership where I stand as a mayor and the kind of work I'd like to do to improve the citizenry outside of the minister meeting with me yesterday, Minister Local. I intend to meet the other key players within the government and to have the kind of conversations necessary so that the city itself could be a better place. I've had other conversations, people who reached out to me today from different major bodies. I don't want to call names, but major bodies that have reached out to me for us to have major conversations. Major conversation because they want to also play a part and play a role in not only cleaning the city, but also to sustain it and to have a sustainable arrangement from an environmental and other perspective. So I am working with other stakeholders outside of the government to be able to make this possible. And in the days to come, you'll see those things publicly in the media as to how we are having many other players coming to the fore to be able to make these things possible so that we can have a better city so that you and others, when you come to Guyana, and you visit Georgetown, you'll be very pleased.
Mayor Mentor, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for being here tonight. I want to thank all our guests and our sponsors for being kind to us over the past years. And I want to thank Noir Singh for making this program available, and Devin Bissoon and Ryan Gobin, our two technical directors. Once again, we are a fair and balanced network, and we invite all the politicians, all members from different political groups, different organizations to come on our program and to discuss issues. We don't take sides. We give everyone a fair chance to express their views, and we do that all the time. So the only fair and balanced network you can do that on, and that's Globespan Television. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thanks again to all our guests, and good night.
Good night to you.